Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and I'm filming in a different location, as you might be able to tell. And the reason is because I got my We Are Makers Cinch stack cutter. I didn't even know they had shipped it, and then all of a sudden it's at my doorstep last night. And so I, before I went to bed, I set up this kind of a jerry-rigged filming station here on my kitchen island, where I would have enough space to actually get the entire stack cutter in view, and that way I can actually show this in action. So what is the stack cutter? It is a very heavy-duty guillotine, essentially, that allows you to cut like huge stacks of paper, cardstock, etc. And I got it because I've been making a lot of notebooks, and I kind of want to save my shoulder, from doing the multiple cuts with the rotary trimmer, which is what I have been using, or my Fisker's guillotine. And also the rotary trimmer, if you've been following my journey on that one, I really can't get it to cut cleanly for the life of me. And I know many people love it and have had great success with it, and I'm really happy for those folks. That's just not me. And so this is supposed to be pretty, like a pretty clean cut, effortless to slice through, because it's heavy duty. This is a heavy bit of equipment here. And being that this is my first look video, essentially what I'm going to do is use it for the first time, give you my initial impressions as I'm doing that. Totally unvarnished opinion. I did buy this, but regardless of whether I buy a product myself or I am sent it for review, I always give you my unvarnished opinion. Kind of can't help myself because I do film this in real time. So what I'm going to do first is the assembly part. This is all that came in terms of a manual or instructions. So that's all I've got. And let's see. I do have a stack of papers here, so I've got that ready to go. Okay, slide the handle onto the lever. The handle does not tighten. Okay, this was bagged, but I took it out of its bag already. All right, that's easy enough. Using the Allen wrench, turning clockwise, screw the crank into place. So Allen wrench, crank. And I did play with this. So this little handle here, it did ship. It was down inwards, but I wonder if you just can't. Are you meant to not? I'm not sure. Oh, here we go. Okay, if you pull on it, you can collapse it back in. So if you're in a space where maybe you need to get that a little bit out of the way, you can pull it out, it seems, and then tuck it back in. Okay, so I did that part. It shipped with it tucked in. I already pulled it out. And then on the end here, well, it doesn't tell you to do it, but there is a bolt with a washer, and it looks like we have to unscrew that first. This. And then there's also a zip tie over the metal. I'm going to take the zip tie. This is like the cutest little zip tie. It's the smallest little thing. Okay, so took those off. And then I'm going to put this in like this, just as it's shown. And there's only one way it can go in, because there's like a little, there's a circular metal bit, and then there's actually another little metal bit like this. So it's not a perfect circle anymore. It's metal and then a protrusion here. And so your wheel can only go in the one way. And then washer, and then the bolt. And I do like this Allen wrench because it's got like a handle. It looks kind of ergonomic and everything. It's kind of nice. It's not one of those Allen wrenches that's just the metal with like an L. Okay, so at some point I'm tightening this clockwise and then it's turning the entire wheel. I think what I'm gonna do is hold the wheel, like hold the crank, and apply some force this way as I turn this way so that the crank doesn't go. I don't know if that helps to tighten it, and I don't know how tightly it needs to go, but it's working. And what's cool on here, it's labeled, you know, points left for you to rotate to the left to close, and it points to the right for open. Although, to be honest, I think it would have made more sense if they said up and down, because that's actually what's happening. I mean, it is opening and closing too, but if you think about like the what's actually happening is that there's a like a I don't know, a platform or something that is getting lowered when you close, and then it's getting brought upwards when you go in the open direction. And so it's really going down and up depending on which direction you crank that wheel. And then it says to loosen this. It's already loose. And slide it. Okay. Hand tighten the alignment guide in place. Well, in place means, okay, I'm gonna cut 5.5 by 4 1/4 pages. So hand tighten. Okay. And then I did this first just for safety measures. Before I did anything else, I did put this plastic safety cover on. So I can show you what that looks like. I just wanted to make sure everything was super safe. So there's this plastic cover. Now, one of the things that I noticed was that there's like a rubber washer on one end, but not on the other end. I don't know if I'm missing a piece. I looked everywhere. I looked in the bag that this came in. I looked in the box that everything shipped in, and I didn't see it. So I don't know. But there are holes in the metal. Like, this is heavy duty. Pretty much everything is like metal construction, really. So, but you put this into the hole, and then you can bend the plastic a little bit so that the other end will go in the hole. And that just protects you from touching the very, very sharp blade. Okay, so now we can cut stuff. Operation instructions. You want to adjust the alignment guide to the desired measurement for the cut. Tighten wheel to secure alignment guide in place. Check. Turn the wheel handle counterclockwise to clamp down paper in place. This helps prevent the paper from shifting. So this is really important, and it's a feature of stack cutters, heavy duty stack cutters like this one. And if you've ever cut, you know, a stack of paper on, say, like a guillotine, for example, what you might find happening is, if you're not holding something down tightly as you cut, it's going to cut from one end to the opposite end, and your paper actually might start sliding. But if it's held down tightly, then that is less likely to happen. And so that's what this wheel here will help you do, because there's like a lever that clamps down on your paper. It's under here, so you can't see it. So let's get a stack going. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is already more than what I would cut in my guillotine or the rotary trimmer. I would do like 5 at a time. I'm gonna do 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it can do way more than that. I just don't need more than this at the moment. And so you might ask, okay, Lynn, you're not cutting like a huge, 1-inch stack of paper. Why did you even buy this? Well, that's true. That's fair. I don't make anything to sell, and I am probably only ever going to cut maybe twice this much at a time to make notebooks and things as gifts and, projects and whatnot. But I just, I don't want to have to do these cuts like 5 sheets at a time. This is 20 at a time. Okay, so I tried to put that in, but I can't because the blade is actually down. So let me lift this. Oh, okay. So it's not spring-loaded, so you have to actually raise it and lower it. Okay, so now it's actually, now the blade is not blocking. So I can slide this in. Okay, so this is at 5.5, and I'm looking at, I actually lined it up. It's kind of nice. There's actually printed on this plate here. There's a guide, and so you can line it up here, or you can line it up against that. It's the same thing, but whatever is easier. So pushing it flush to the left and flush up. Okay, and then I'm just gonna hold that, and I'm gonna turn the wheel to lower or close this clamp. Okay, so it just hit the paper. I can see the clamp, so it just hit my stack of paper here, but I'm gonna rotate more. Okay, so that's as much as I can rotate with just holding the little handle here and then turning. But what I'm gonna do, because I'm a little bit paranoid, is I'm gonna hold by the wheel like a steering wheel, and I'm gonna turn it a smidge more. Oh yeah, because yeah, that went not like a quarter turn or anything like that, but okay, I'm just gonna tug a few sheets off the top. A few sheets in the middle, nothing moved, and then a few sheets at the bottom. Now, if anything were to slip, it's more likely to slip from the bottom, I think. Okay, nothing slipped. All right, now, once you're satisfied with the setup, so I'm cutting at 5.5, hold down the safety lever. That's this red thing here. And hold down the safety lever and carefully pull down on the lever. Okay, so this is, hold this down and pull this down. Is that it? Oh, we made it through. That was it. Oh my gosh, that was so fast. Ooh. Look at that. That was very effortless. Okay, so let's get this out. I will lift that and raise the clamp. Okay, so let's see. Okay, well there's like an impression. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's like, I can see a line. Maybe I clamped it too much. Or maybe I want that, I don't know. Oh my gosh, it is a very clean cut. That is a clean, and okay, tamping it down this way. And then if you look at that edge, pretty clean. This was factory edge down here. This is the factory edge. This is the cut edge just now. Wow, that's nice. It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty even. It's pretty even. Okay. That was 20, and then I'm gonna double it up just like this. And so this would be 40. And I'm going to cut this whole stack. So slide that in. push everything. Oh, this though I need to move because I want to cut this one at 4 1/4. So 4 1/4. Okay. And pushing all the way to the left and all the way up. And then I'm gonna lower the lever. And then I did the steering wheel to, I'm still gonna clamp, you can see how much pressure I clamped it down because it's pretty, it's lifting these pages, but I think that's fine if that goes up a little bit. Tugging every few pages, see if it moves any. Okay, nothing moved. Pull down the safety, pull down the lever. Oh my gosh, that cuts so effortlessly. Ah, look at that. Beautiful. Okay, now let's see how that compares to the stack that's left over. Oh my gosh, look at that. Pretty nice. This is really nice. That's amazing. I think that's the cut edge, and then this is the other cut edge. So I've got factory edge at the bottom, and the cut edges are at the top. Now, I wonder, oh, it's pretty good, pretty even Steven. My first cut, there's like just a sliver that's uneven at the top here. Let me see if I can, let's see how finely we can cut. Okay, I'm gonna move this back to 5 1/2, but I'm just gonna go like just a sliver less than 5 1/2, just to get a really clean edge. Let's say this was a text block, right? And this was all going into one notebook. I would want everything like super flush and even. So I'm gonna find my 5 1/2, and then I'm gonna take less than 1/16 of an inch off. Maybe 1/16 of an inch. This has measurements in 1/8 of an inch, so I can do 5 3/8, but what I'm doing is aiming for a spot between 5 3/8 and 5 1/2. So it's about 5 1/16 of an inch, or 5 7/16. Okay, so I raised a clamp. Okay, so I raised it as far as it'll go, and I'm gonna push it as far left and as far up, and then close this clamp down and give it an extra turn. Okay, that looks like it's clamped down pretty well. Okay, let's see. This is just gonna cut, as I have co-opted the phrase, a fly's eyelash off of this stack. So, safety down. Oh, wow. So this was a stack of, well, we started with 10, and then we doubled it to 20. And so this is all 40. Okay, so opening up this, and then let's push it out. Well, I don't want to get my hands too far in there, but oh my gosh, look at these little slivers. That's pretty wild. That's what we just cut. And now let's look. Okay, tapped everything down. Oh my gosh, look at how clean and even that is. Yay! So that's awesome. And then once I do the binding, like for my thermal cinch, if I do the perfect binding, there'll be like a strip of glue here, which might make this edge a little bit uneven. But my the reason why I got this is because I was seeing a lot of that in my, well, my hand cut papers were uneven to start, but I mean, this is way more even to start than anything that I cut off of the rotary trimmer. And but what I fully anticipate to happen, even as this is, after I do the glue binding, it's gonna cause this edge to be a little bit uneven. So what my intentions for how I'm gonna use this is to actually, after the binding is complete, just slice off this edge and make it completely even. Whatever, you know, whatever size the notebook then ends up being is whatever it ends up being, but it'll be just shy of 4 1/4. I am really happy with this so far, and I'm really kind of excited that it cut through that whole stack and at a 1/16 of an inch. So really, really amazing. So what I'm gonna do off camera is I'm actually gonna slice up what I would normally cut, not quite this much, but what I would normally cut on the Tim Holtz rotary trimmer, and on the Fiskars guillotine. And as I mentioned, I normally just cut stacks of 5, but I do it just as you've seen here, where I start off with the 8.5 by 11, 5 sheets, and I cut that in half, and then I cut it, put those together, and I cut it again at 10 sheets. And this is 20-pound text weight paper, so not super heavyweight. And I'll show you a comparison side by side of what this achieved with this stack and the rotary trimmer and what the Fiskars guillotine does. And then what I think I'll do off camera is actually bind a notebook using these pages, and I'll show you what I mean by the process I would normally use and how I would cut it after the fact when a notebook is already bound, and as a finishing step to cleaning up the edge here. So I'll go ahead and prep all of that, and then I'll return and show you those last 2 bits. Okay, so I'm back. I've made a couple of notebooks with my thermal cinch. So these are perfect binding, glue binding, and as you can see, they are very imperfect. There's edges here. I wasn't too careful about my cuts because I knew I could trim all of that off with the stack cutter. Now, I did do some extra cuts, and I'll show this when I'm back at my regular desk, but I did cut a small stack on the Tim Holtz rotary and on my guillotine, so I'll show up close the comparison there. And then I also wanted to show, so I bought this dotted paper, and I didn't realize what I was buying was bound into a notebook, and I had to buy another sort of small ream of dotted grid paper, and I was figuring, well, at some point I guess I'll just use my box cutter to trim off pages as I need them. But with this, I was able to just cut off the binding. So I wanted to show that I was able to cut through a stack this thick, which is about 1/2 inch thick, really easily on the stack cutter. So I've used a lot of those sheets for two of these notebooks I think are with the dyed grid paper, and then one of them is with the stack that I cut while I was filming the first part of this video. So what I'm going to do now is just trim these edges so that they're nice and square with each other. So to do that, what I'm gonna do is I've got my blade down. This is down and it's touching the mat here. And then I'm gonna push it until this actually butts up against the blade. And I'll put that there. Then I'm gonna raise this and I'm gonna just slide this over a smidge more so that we are cutting off just a little bit, because it's hard to really know exactly where the blade is going to cut. And I'll take a photo and I'll put it up on screen so that you can see what I mean when you're looking at this from this angle here. So I think that's going to be about good. So I'll tighten that, close this down, clamp it down nice and tightly. And then the other thing that I wanted to show is that oh, gotta push the safeties on. Okay, so that did move a little bit. I don't think let's see how that did. Oh, actually it moved, but still cut a nice clean edge. So I'm just going to, you can see that's a nice clean edge now. Now I'm just going to cut a little bit off of the tops and the bottoms. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get the safety down so that I can get the blade all the way down to the bottom. Slide this in until it's touching the blade. Lift that up and then just nudge this over a little bit and close this down tight. Lock this in and get this nice and tight. Okay, and slice. Okay. I mean, I don't really care what the final size of this ends up being. It's more important to me that the edges are nice and squared off. So you can see all these little slivers. Let's see, just nudge this over a little. And right. Okay, check that out. Look at all those edges. Super squared off. Really nice. Very cool. So I'm gonna do that with the other two notebooks, but what I wanted to show was this, and you kind of have to be a little bit careful while you're doing this, but make sure the blade is all the way up. I'm actually going to take the little safety guard off, and you can, at this point, it's possible to touch the blade, so just be careful where you're putting your fingers. But what happens when you're pulling down is there's a long blade here, and it's basically slicing through your paper, and when it gets to the bottom, it's actually slicing into this, I think it's plastic block, and that block helps to prevent your blade from getting dull faster. So it's that red bit there, and that's the blade. And so what I found as I was just like looking at things a little bit more, I'm not going to turn it up all the way, but at the bottom here there's actually a metal piece that this block is sitting in, and there's a hole, and I found that if you take the Allen wrench, it can fit through that hole, and you can poke this red piece up and pull it out. So I'm just gonna pull it out that much so that I can set this back down and still have a handle on that. So you can hopefully sort of see that white line. That's where the blade has been cutting into this high quality knife board, as they call it. And so you can kind of see the blade cuts into here, and then by the end it's not really cutting into this a lot. And part of the reason for that is I'm not super cutting down like with all of my weight. I'm actually still fascinated by this, so I still watch the blade come down as it's cutting. And basically when it hits the bottom of the stack, I don't push down any further. So I imagine if you were to push down harder, it can slice through this, or into it, I should say, and maybe not through it. But over time, this might get cut into quite a lot. And so what you would want to do is take it out, and then if it's like this, just turn it like that. So now it's cutting down from the opposite end. So you, on each of these sides, you can get two sort of fresh sections of this high quality knife board. And then so when this gets kind of beat up and cut into a lot, just rotate it so you're cutting into a different face, and then start cutting into this end, and then when that's used, cut into, rotate it and cut into the opposite end. So really easy to take this out. I've seen reviews of other stack cutters, and to take this bit, because they operate in a very similar fashion with a very similar piece. I mean, this is just square, so it's the same, each face is the same dimensions. And to take this out, at least for one of these stack cutters that I was considering to buy, you kind of had to like unassemble the whole, like almost everything, in order to do that. But you don't have to with this. So then to get this back in, I'll just tilt this again. And what you want to do is, whichever side, I'm going to continue to cut into the section I've been cutting into, just slip this all the way in and then just drop it in. And then once you've got that mostly in the right space, you can just kind of nudge it until it sits into that tray, and that's it. Pretty easy to swap that out, change that. So I'm gonna put this back on before I forget, the little guard here, and because that prevents you from accidentally touching the blade. And the nice thing is this handle, it can it can go down, so if you want to store, because it's shipped with the blade down pretty much like that. So if you don't want this sticking up while you're not using it, make it a little bit more compact, you can pull the lever down. Like I said, it's not spring loaded, so it's not going to pop back up. And I think that just about finishes my first look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my regular filming desk, and I'll show you up close a finished notebook and comparison cuts with my guillotine and my rotary trimmer. And that's going to end this first look video. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I'm back at my regular desk now, and I've trimmed these notebooks. Kind of all slightly different sizes, but you can see, look at how sharp and even those edges are. And pretty awesome. There we go. And that is as compared to this, which is a notebook that I made earlier. So this was sort of, you know, hand cut with the, I think it was probably with the rotary trimmer, and that's kind of as good as I could get it in terms of getting it nice and even. And it's not too bad really, but compared to this where you can bind it and then just slice the ends off, I mean, this looks like store-bought almost. So really fabulous. Love that. And I just kept this to show as for comparison, but I'm actually gonna go and trim this because you can see it's like a little bit off there. The covers are a little bit off. So once I get this trimmed up nicely, then I can give it as a gift. And I mean, I would have been happy to give this as a gift too. I mean, nobody's gonna really look that closely at it, but I feel like now that I have the stack cutter, everything's gonna look really nice now. And I wanted to show this. These are the shavings from trimming those edges, and kind of gives you an idea for just how thinly it can cut. I mean, look, this is so look at how razor, talk about fly's eyelash. I mean, that is like a hair. This is like thin hair. So pretty wild that it can cut just these razor thin slices, which I think is kind of amazing. I mean, there's some thicker parts here too, but really nice that it can get down to just like these slivers, really. I mean, it's incredible. So I'm gonna wrap up my my first look video just with the concluding thought that I am really liking it. I mean, and I just got it as a casual user. Like, I don't sell these notebooks. I just make them for gifts and you know, DT projects and stuff like that. But here's a comparison of, let's see, one of these is from my guillotine and one is from the Tim Holtz rotary. So I kind of want to share the difference because you'll probably kind of see, like, if you look at this edge, see how it's, besides the fact of the unevenness, I'm not really even taking that into consideration, but just the fact that the edges are just not very clean. I can get my camera to focus. So you can see the fuzzies. This is from the rotary, Tim Holtz rotary cutter. And I mean, I really struggle a lot. And I know that's not been everybody's experience. So like I've said, really happy for you if it's working well for you. It's just, I've done all of the things that have been suggested. I've watched the Tim Holtz video and I still get that as a result. And that's not super terrible for just something handmade. And like I said, I cut this on the Tim Holtz. And you know, it's not that big a deal. To be honest, very few people are gonna really be all that discerning about those fuzzies, but it bothers me. So I'm probably gonna be the person most bothered by it. And this is my guillotine. So I clipped this because this is the factory edge. So I know these two are the cut edges. And the guillotine is fine. You know, it's perfectly sharp. You get a couple fuzzies here and there, right? The occasional. But for the most part, it's not bad. And I mean, not especially in comparison to this, right? I get a lot of fuzzies with the rotary trimmer. I still use it for stuff like this because it can cut through a stack, but you can kind of see the fuzzies and how it's and if you look at it, there's some pages it's just fine, and then there's some that, you know, but this is kind of the most, half of this is the most that I'll cut. I wouldn't cut a stack that's more than about that thick. Whereas on the stack cutter, I cut a stack this thick. So this was that notebook that I showed, and so I cut it in half once, that way, and then I stacked it and then cut it in half this way. And I've already used the other half to make these two notebooks here, this one and this one in here. So I've used up the other half of this, so I can still make 2, maybe 3 notebooks. But if you look at it, well, this got like a little bit warped, but I think I dripped some water on there. So if we take that page off, you can look at these cuts, really sharp, super sharp edges. And I can't exactly remember which ones are factory edge because I actually cut 3 edges since this was bound. But if you look at it, it's all really, really nice and sharp. So if you make to sell at all, I feel like this is definitely cut with, because I can tell if you look at there's like some diagonal lines, that's the blade kind of working its way through. So definitely this is the one of the cut edges, and you can kind of see how sharp that is. Really, really nice. So I'm really happy with it, and I think that I don't have anything to compare it to because I don't have a stack cutter, any other brand stack cutter. I'm not going to get more stack cutters. You only really need one in your life, if that. So I don't have any basis for comparison, but so far I'm liking it a lot. So what I'll do is I'm going to continue to use it, and capacity-wise, I don't know how much thicker of a stack it can cut. I didn't measure how much you can raise that bar, you know, that lever that clamps it down. But I will say that it cut through this thickness pretty easily. Like I didn't feel that it was any harder to cut through this than to cut through half of this. I mean, it was really like a hot knife through butter, so effortless. And so it's really nice to now be able to make these and have this really nice polished edge to it. I mean, it's really great, especially since in my case, I'm not making these to sell or anything, so I don't really mind that. Look, if you look at them all, they're kind of all different sizes. Like, they're slightly different sizes because I trimmed off as much as I needed to trim off, and I tried to be kind of minimal about that. But I don't really care about that too much. If you care about everything being the exact same size, I haven't really put it through the test to see just how accurate the measurements are. If you're cutting 5.5, is it a true 5.5, or, you know, is it a little bit off from that? So I haven't really tested it to that degree. But I'll do that. And, you know, maybe come back and give a concluding opinion after I've had a chance to use it more. But so far, loving it a lot. So I'll leave links to the stack cutter on the American Crafts website, which I know is where I got it, and I'm imagining that HSN will probably get it at some point as well, and I'm sure Amazon and other retailers too. So if you're interested, feel free to click the links in the description box, and if you have any questions that you want to drop in the comments, feel free to do so. And if it's something that I know or can find out, or that you want me to experiment with, and it seems like it's something that's not going to hurt the machine, then I'm happy to give it a go. All right, I think that's it for this one. Thanks so much, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.